Did you know that 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now? That means that most people aren't saving or investing, and it's getting worse. Now, trust me when I tell you, I know what it feels like to look at your bank account and wonder how you're going to get ahead. For years, I thought that investing was something that only rich people did. But here's the truth. Here's what I found. They're not richer because they're smarter. They're richer because they started investing. They started investing with whatever they had, even if it was a small amount, like $100. And guess what? That's exactly where you can start today. No matter how much money that you have, I can tell you if you're willing to get started, you can create the financial freedom that you want. For many of people, they've always been scared to start investing because they felt like they didn't have the confidence or maybe they didn't have the money. But the truth about that is, if you're one of those people, those thoughts are holding you back. It's holding you back from one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make in life. If you do not start investing, you'll be stuck in the same cycle, working just to make ends meet with no real way to build wealth or true financial freedom. And it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, I'm gonna show you a simple step-by-step guide on how to invest your first $100 in 2024 so you can break free from that cycle and finally start building wealth. And trust me, it's easier than you think. Now, by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to take control of your financial freedom, even if you've never invested before. So you ready? Let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so first things first is you gotta get clear on why investing is non-negotiable. Right now, if you're keeping money in a savings account or you're just letting it sit there, you're just losing money every day because of inflation. I didn't even realize this at first. Back then, I was just saving money just so I had enough money whenever I needed it. But when I found out about compound interest, it blew my mind. If you haven't heard, Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. And now I get why. The earlier you start investing, the more time your money has to work for you. You're creating like little money babies. They're all out there working for you, right? It's not just about growing your money. It's truly about freedom. That's how I like to think about it. I remember one of the first books that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he had talked about how investing is the key to breaking out of the rat race, right? Whether you're stuck working a job right now, just trying to survive, or if you got a side hustle, if you're not investing, you don't have the power to make your money work for you. And that was so important for me. That was why one of the first things that I wanted to do was be the Lord of my land. Why? Is because I wanted to get what they called mailbox money. I literally had it ingrained in my mind, and I wanted to wake up on the first of the month and I wanted to have money being deposited into my bank account, right? That meant my money was working for me. But also, when I learned about real estate, I also wanted to make sure that I could leverage the money in real estate and then use that money to go buy more real estate. Again, having the money work for me. So for you right now, you got to figure out what type of money do you have coming in that you can have work for you. So now that we understand our why, we got to figure out how exactly does investing work. When you start investing, you're basically putting your money into something, whether it's real estate or stocks or bonds, so it can grow over time. One of the easiest ways that I've learned to do this is through index funds. Now, Warren Buffett, if you don't know him, he's the Oracle, one of the greatest investors of all time. He said, for most people, index funds are probably going to be the safest and the smartest way to invest. And being honest, I agree. Index funds let you invest in hundreds of companies at once, like Apple, Google, Amazon, Coca-Cola, all of the big names. So instead of just putting all of your money on one horse, you're spreading it across the market. Now, one of my other mentors when it comes to investing in the stocks is the founder of a $1 billion hedge fund, which is Ray Dalio. He's also the author of the book Principles, and he talks a lot about diversification. And the smartest investors in the world, they diversify. They're not all into one stock. They spread it out because then they minimize their risk. If all of a sudden something goes on with Tesla and you don't like what Elon Musk did, if you have all of your money in Tesla and it drops even for 3 months, 6 months, because eventually it will always come back up. 95% of the time, but there is that chance that you could lose everything. So this is the reason why you want to be diversified, and index funds are a great way to do that. All right, now let's talk about how exactly you can get started investing with just $100. And yes, it's possible, and it's easier than it's ever been. Now, you don't need a fancy broker or even thousands of dollars to invest. With just $100, you could get started with apps like M1 Finance or Betterment or even Vanguard. These platforms allow you to buy fractional shares, which that means that you don't have to buy a full share of something like Apple or Amazon or even Tesla. You can own a piece of it with whatever you got. And I actually have a good friend of mine who started investing with just $50 buying these fractional shares. She was hesitant, like most of us are, but I showed her how she could use M1 Finance to start small. Now she's investing in these big companies that she used to only dream about, and it's all because she took that first step. Now here's the tip. You can automate your investments. Apps like Acorn or Betterment, they let you set up automatic transfers directly from your bank account. So the day you get paid, the money gets invested without you even having to think about it. That's how you build wealth over time without stressing, and you can do it every single month, every single week, or even every single day. All right, now here's the next one, and this is a really big one. Most people never get started because they have a fear, and that fear, you guessed it, it's losing money. You have to get over that fear. You have to understand that if there's no risk, there is no reward. So yes, there's a potential that you could lose, but here's the deal. You're not putting all of your chips on the table, right? We're going to play smart, and we're going to play with management, bankroll management, as I like to call it. So what does that mean? That means that even if we get in with index funds, we're only putting 10% of our entire bankroll in that. We're going to spread it out. We're going to be diversified on it. Ideally, if you could be 5% or less of whatever you're investing, that's the way you want to go. And yes, it's going to be slower, but at the same time, you're never going to panic and sell when the market goes down. Why? Is because you're controlling your emotions. You didn't put everything on there. You're not putting your mortgage on there. You're not putting your car payment on there. You're not putting your life insurance on there. You're playing against the house because you're playing with your own rules. And your own rules say, I gotta control my emotions. If you can't do that, you have to be able to make sure that you stay disciplined and only putting 1-2% down. So again, you're not looking at it every single day. You're controlling your emotions, and you're understanding I'm building this for the long term. Warren Buffett always says the biggest mistake people make is trying to time the market. Timing the market comes with emotion, and it's almost impossible. Instead, the key is to stay invested. Think about it. During the 2008 crisis, the market dropped by over 50%. And a lot of people sold everything out of fear. Why? Because they didn't have control. But the ones who held on, those are the ones that ended up doubling their money when the market recovered. And that's something else that Ray Dalio talks about a lot, is how market cycles are natural. There will be ups and there will be downs. If you stay in it for the long term, though, trust me when I tell you, your money will grow. The real risk is not being in the market at all. If you're always stuck on the sideline, you'll never be able to have the opportunity to get in the game and receive the experience that comes with having your money work for you. But more importantly, you'll never achieve true financial freedom, and you'll always be stuck in that cycle of being dependent on a paycheck. Now, next, I want to talk to you guys about the slow lane versus the fast lane when it comes to investing. Now, I first learned about this from MJ DeMarco. If you don't know who MJ DeMarco is, he wrote the book, The Millionaire Fast Lane, which, by the way, is one of my favorite books of all time. He breaks it down like this. The slow lane is the traditional route, right? Go to school, get a good job, and then invest that way. You put money into the index funds or retirement accounts, and over time, compound interest does what it does, and it goes to work. Now, it is a solid, proven method, but I'll be honest, it's a slower process, and I still do believe that success loves speed. So there's another option. The option is the fast lane, and this is where you invest into yourself or you invest into your business. Now, when I first got started investing, I didn't put any money into the stock market. I invested into my own business, and it was my real estate business. Yeah, it was risky. Why? It's because I didn't have a large budget. Ray Dalio didn't build his wealth just by investing in the stock market either. He founded his business, which we talked about earlier, Bridgewater Associates, which grew into the world's largest hedge fund. That's the fast lane, betting on yourself. The key is knowing what works best for you, and if you're just starting out, the slow lane with index and compound interest is totally fine. It's actually perfect if you're somebody who you understand your own emotions. But if you're somebody who you like to take more risk and you want to accelerate your wealth, as long as it's a calculated risk, then I think the fast lane might be the way to go. Now, the last step is probably the most important one, and that is you got to get started today. You know, they say that the best time to invest in real estate, or anything for that matter, was 20 years ago. You know what the second best time is? Today. So here's exactly what you need to do. First off, you got to pick a platform. Now, this could be Robinhood, this could be Betterment or Acorns, but you got to pick a platform and then set a goal. Decide on how much you want to invest each month. Even if it's just $50 or even $100, the key is being consistent. Remember, we talked about automating your investments, so you can set up automatic transfers. That way, you're investing without even thinking about it. But also, you got to think long term. Don't worry about the short-term ups and the downs. Remember, we're thinking of the long game, and your money is going to grow year over year, not day over day. So taking the first step, as we all know, is the hardest, but once you do, you'll be on a financial path for freedom, true freedom. Imagine a freedom where you're not tied to a paycheck, right? You have choices because your money is working for you. And so there you have it, your step-by-step guide to invest in your first $100 in 2024 and honestly in 2025 as well. It's not about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about creating financial freedom so you can have choices based on what you want, so you can build a life by your design and not just what your paycheck allows. I've been there. I was unsure. I was afraid. Why? Because I didn't have the knowledge. But guess what? You do now. But the truth is, the only wrong move is not doing anything at all. Financial freedom isn't just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who's looking to take the first step. So go ahead, pick an app, invest your first $100, and start building your future where you control your financial destiny. Start building a life by your design. And remember, Dream Builder, in the dream we trust, but you got to take action on something. You got the knowledge now. Let's implement so you can turn that dream into a reality. That's all for this one. If you've gotten any value out of this, hit that like button and let me know, which app are you going to be using to start your investing journey today? We'll see you on the next one.